Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the December 11th, 2023 meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit Board of Directors. This is a hybrid meeting, meaning that members of the public can participate in the meeting either in person or virtually. This meeting is being live streamed, and the slides on the screen shows the information on how to join the webinar via Zoom. You can also call into the meeting at 253-215-8782, and the webinar access code is, get ready for it, 837-9338-8162. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Director Budge.
Here.
Director Daniels.
Here.
Director Hume.
Here.
Director Jennings.
Here.
Director Kozlowski is absent. Director Laloe.
Here.
Director Maple.
Here.
Director Cerna.
Here.
Director Singh Allen.
Here.
Director Valenzuela. And Chair Kennedy.
Here.
With that, we have a quorum at 10 votes, and this meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit District will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the Local Government Affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T UVerse cable systems. This meeting is closed caption and webcast at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Thursday, December 14th at 9 a.m. and Sunday, December 17th at 12 o'clock p.m. on Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/MetroCable14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker card located on the side of the room and provide it to myself or Adam. Once the item has been called, additional speaker cards will not be accepted. The time allowed for public comment is at the chair's discretion. The timer will chime when you have 30 seconds remaining and then again when your time is up. If you are participating by phone, please push *9 to indicate a desire to comment. If you're joining us through Zoom, please push the raise hand button. Be sure to unmute yourself when it is your turn to speak and voluntarily state your name for the record. Any written comment that was received by 2 p.m. today has been provided to the board and will be filed in the record.
Thank you, Tabitha. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Before we move on to the consent calendar, I'd like to make a suggestion for a change to the agenda. Item 7.2, I don't feel comfortable with the information I've received on that to date, and so I would like to move that to a date certain of the first meeting in January, and I only bring that up at the front of the meeting just in case there's anybody here to speak on that item.
Thank you, sir. And just for your edification, I'm going to be making a suggestion on the consent calendar for item 2.2 to move our January meeting from the 22nd. I've found that there are conflicts from board members, myself included. Not that that matters because we have a fantastic vice chair, and move that meeting to January 8th. So that kind of coincides. I wanted to make that clear too. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Would you like to, at this point, would you like to take that up now, or would you like to go after consent?
It's at your discretion, and I just thought before we move on with an agenda, we might establish what the agenda is.
I appreciate that. Then we'll just move on with the consent calendar. And so that is, of course, items 2.1 through 2.16. At this time, is there any member of the board that would like to pull anything from consent? I would like to pull item 2.2. Is there any other?
Seeing none, I will move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
2.1 through 2.16 minus item 2.2.
Okay, we have a motion and a second from Director Budge and Director Stern, I believe. So other than item 2.2, do we have to call the roll? We don't. No, we can do a voice vote.
Chair Kennedy, I think you have a card for 2.4.
Oh, I do. 2.4. You're correct.
And
Sorry.
then Nick Bryant has his hand up.
Okay, could we get Rick a microphone? We can bring a microphone there, I believe, Rick. Okay.
Mr. Chair, do you need me to change the motion?
Pardon me?
Do you need me to change the motion?
Did you include 2.2?
No, everything except 2.2.
Oh,
but
no.
I think he's speaking on 2.4.
At this point, we're okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
My way. Right here, so the corner, and then the microphone's right here.
Okay, I'm going to raise it up a little bit so I don't have to bend down. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. So I know that if this is about flagging at railroad crossings, I support that. I just want to be sure, not everyone can see a flag for whatever reason. And so hopefully that there's going to be, as always, an audible signal there to let those who cannot see, let them know that there's, is this for the track, is this for flagging for light rail operators, or is this going to be at railroad crossings? If it's at railroad crossings, I know that this is going, that there's already an audible noise there, but if this is for light rail operators, then this would be irrelevant to my concern. I'm just, because it was too vague, that's why I'm speaking on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Someone on staff, was it be Ms. Ham, or who would it be to address that? Or-
Carmen Alba?
Okay, thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so this is not for bus operators. This is on-call for construction projects, I'm sorry. This is train control for laborers, rail laborers, or anyone performing work.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Okay, are there any other questions? Is there any member of the public other than Mr. Hodgkins that has any comment on any item on consent?
Nick Bryant has his hand up.
Mr. Bryant?
Hi, my name is Nick Bryant. How you doing today?
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Good. I would like to say that, we still have homeless people damaging our Connect card machines at outside the light post stations.
Mr. Bryant, is this addressing a specific item on consent?
I would like to talk about the Connect card machines.
Which item are you addressing right now?
That outside the light post stations that homeless people are still damaging our Connect card machines, and I feel like that Connect car machine. I think that the machine should be inside light rail vehicles.
That's going to be item 6. Item's not on the agenda.
Yeah, that's on item 6, which is items not on the agenda. However, things are a little unusual with different, venue and all that, so I'm going to overextend the chair's prerogative and let you continue.
Okay. And also, I do appreciate you guys driving us around, and I do thank you for what you guys do and what you guys are driving. You guys do a good job of driving us around, and I wanted to thank you guys, operators, for doing a great job. Keep up the great work. Rick Jennings, keep up the great work.
Thank you very much, sir. I have to say that I agree on every one of those points. All right. Any other members of the board like to have something removed or comment? No more members of the public. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
That's correct.
Okay, then we have a motion and a second on the consent calendar other than item 2.2. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? All right, now we'll go to item 2.2, which is our board calendar. And as I said earlier, my proposal is that we move the meeting in January to January 8th, just because of scheduling conflicts that I'm hearing and requests that I've heard. Is there any member of the board that would like to address that at this time? Yes.
So I might be out of country on that date, but I am back for certain. Like I might be back by the evening, but again, hard to predict these things.
Okay.
So not that my presence is.
Your presence is always
necessary,
important.
But any day after that is fine with me.
Okay.
Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would also say that Rancho Cordova is not available that day because we have a series of discussions ongoing with the Folsom Cordova School District, and there's a meeting scheduled for that evening.
Okay.
And I would have told Henry that.
This came up literally
Sure, no worries.
a half hour ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just FYI.
Okay. What's the feelings of the board then? We have two potential members who will not be there. Is there others?
Can I,
Yes.
does it always have to be a Monday? I know there's all, that opens up another Pandora's box.
That would be a yes.
Okay.
I mean, it generally,
All right.
we
I-
were
I don't
told
wanna
it
open
has to
that.
do with when Metro Cable is able to video people.
Okay, all due respect to the board members, because I've heard from, everybody's got conflicts. We all know that. We're busy people. So I'm going to maintain that I would like to have the meeting moved. And with that, is there a member of the public that would like to address our calendar at this time? Okay, if so, I
Jeff-
would say get a hobby.
Jeffrey Tardigia has his hand up. I'm
Okay.
not sure it's on that item.
Jeffrey.
Oh, he put it down.
Okay, thank you, Jeffrey. Yes, sir. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Abstain? And my hearing says the ayes have it. Thank you very much. With that, we will move to item 3.1, which was continued from last time and is actually a fun item. So, who's going to? Deborah.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce 2 of our 4 2023 Community Transit Champions. We will present certificates to the remaining 2 transit champions in January when they're able to attend in person, so I apologize for that, but we're going to at least recognize 2. And as a reminder, champions are selected by the SACRT board and management based on their personal role in supporting SACRT in the community in their respective districts. First, I would like to recognize David Von Aspern, who was nominated by Director Phil Cerna for sharing service improvement suggestions to better serve all of our riders and encourage others to get on board. And David, would you like to say a few words? Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Phil, thank you. It's quite an honor. In the interest of time savings, some famous person said, more is less. So the only thing I'll add is, I hope you all believe in continuous process improvement. You probably all do. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
David, I'll have you come back up in a minute, take photos. Secondly, I would like to recognize Rick Hodgkins, who was nominated by CEO Henry Lee for being a steadfast warrior in support of the disabled community and for his common sense skill set in finding optimal solutions to transit service challenges. Rick? Put that back up.
Thank you. I believe that sometimes more is less, sometimes less is more. Than when we talk about job coaching. I feel great. Mr. Lee, thank you for nominating me, as I recall. And I would just like to say that unlike the previous administration and management team, that this management team, this administration really cares. So that is all I have to say in a nutshell. Thank you.
Henry, can you come up and take a photo? And David, if you can come up, take a photo.
How about those that nominated as well?
Yes, all the people for board directors nominated. Please. Yeah.
Say all of it? Did you say all of it? Just for the top end and
Take pictures.
And then I'm going to do a
Congratulations, Rick and David. Thank you very much for champion for SAC-RT. That concludes my remarks.
Okay, so staff, I take it that Mr. Barraza and Mr. Smothers are not here. Correct, okay, thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you for those of you, thanks first of all for the board members who were not completely, you know, forgetting to actually nominate somebody, as I must say I was guilty of. So Director Cerna and Director Maple, you get the gold star for the night. Thank you very much, and thank you for those champions. You know, what we do up here for you, but we couldn't do it without you. The input that you provide, and Rick, you know, I mean, you've been a stalwart since the years I've been on here, and the perspective that you give yeah. And the perspective that you give us makes our job better, easier, and more important, as well as our staff. So thank you very much for being that arm of RT out in the community. So thank you. All right, that takes us to new business. I'm sorry, is there any members of the public that would like to address the board at this time on an item not on the agenda? I do have 3 cards. Is there any others, Madam Clerk?
Nick Bryant has his hand up, but I believe he spoke on the matters not on the agenda.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. Then we have Michael Bevins.
Hello.
Welcome.
Name's Michael Bevins, former RT transit graduate. Just always want to throw that
That
in.
microphone's not the greatest, so you really got to project.
Okay. I would like to talk today about bicycles and how they work in our transit system. I am recently a converted bicycle commuter. Half of my commute is on a train or bus. The other half is actual bicycle riding. It's working out pretty well. I start in the mornings when the first trains, and I'm usually the only one on the train, which makes it easy to find a spot. I have some competition, however, on the way home for those spots, and that got me to thinking, what, if any, what is the plan when we reach capacity for bikes on trains or buses? I know the new trains are coming with their low floors and allowing easy access on and off for bicycles and wheelchairs. Won't this convenience bring more riders? I know that's a good problem to have, I know, but what happens when that capacity of the trains is exceeded with the bicycle riders? I suggest bike bus, bike train, cargo train. I haven't got a name yet, but we can retain some old trains maybe that take the seats out and reconfigure the floor plan to allow for bikes, basically standing room only. And the bikes can enter, park on the train, and exit the train real easily. I know our current trains don't match up with the new trains. They don't couple. But can't we run the old trains just by themselves, apart from the new trains, the routes, and have like a trailing train that comes by to pick up bicycles and other cargo things? Maybe it'll run every 30 minutes to an hour. I don't know. If that's not feasible, maybe we can order some of our new trains to have no seats and just bicycle only, or cargo things. Same idea with the buses. I mean, let's take some the seats out and convert some of those buses to cargo buses. These newly reconfigured trains and buses could be used by not just bikes, anybody? But could also be used as strollers, wagons, luggage, shopping carts, big cargo bikes, and of course, wheelchairs. If we want to entice people out of their cars for every single task they use a car for, we need to provide a comparable service option. So imagine, if you will, someone without a car for whatever reason wants to go shopping at a grocery store, Home Depot, mall, or Costco, and when they're ready to return home, simply rolls his or her wagon full of goods or shopping cart onto a train or cargo bus. We have something like this already in use. We can simply replicate that as a regular bus route. It's the airport bus. You simply roll your luggage onto the airport bus and it drops you off. Instead of bikes, you can also have luggage. Thank you for your time. That's all.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate your creativity. Next, we have Robert Copeland.
Hi, I'm an ACE member and also a Sacramento Transit Writers Union member. We need better public transit here in Sacramento because children going to school, a lot of times they're not getting to school on time. And we're hearing that at ACE meetings. So can you improve the bus system? Also, to Henry Lee, Mayor Steinberg has a competing ballot measure he wants to put out to yours, where part goes to transit, part goes to housing. I think that's better than your ballot measure. But there's not enough polling says that it'll fail with a 2/3 vote. Also, can we get the bus trip cancellation lowered? Because nobody should miss a bus when they're there on time and the bus doesn't show up. Also, we need better lighting at bus stops because sometimes public cannot. The cars can't see that bus stop or the rider. That's a no-go in my opinion. Also, will 7.2 be heard tonight or not?
7.2 is on the agenda, yes.
But will it be heard? Because I heard one of the board members says he wants to pull.
We'll talk about that when we get to it.
Okay. We also need more seats at bus stops and reroute the bus system where people can get where they want to go on time, whether it's to school or shopping or a Kings game. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick Hodgkins.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Yes. Thank you. Tough act to follow with that very first speaker. He is right that the new trains will not be able to couple with the old trains. However, that what he's talking about, I don't know if it's practical. We were all told that the newer trains will have more room and space for bikes, luggage, wheelchairs, etc., knowing that the new trains will be low floor. Two other things real quick. One is I've dealt with several user drivers that they either don't know where my apartment is, so I have to explain that to them, and also we almost couldn't find our way down here today because some drivers think, and maybe it's well intentioned, but some think I've been here before and don't know, and therefore know. But I had to tell them I've never been to this building before. I had a similar situation back on Saturday, November 11th. I went to Solomon's for Dr. Flo's birthday party and campaign kickoff, and the user driver I had at the time said, well, if I can't see the address or if I can't see the restaurant, it perhaps doesn't exist, or something along those lines. And yesterday, as I was coming back from a Christmas party with a bunch of other people that are blind, the driver, he was a SAC-RT Go driver, and he thought I was playing games. I had him twice already this year, and he thought, I thought that he should be able to remember where my apartment was. I shouldn't have to remind him. When I saw him for the second time, I was coming out of the main gate at Cal Expo, and I went to the right, that thinking paratransit still parked at that bus stop. He thought I knew that, and he sounded like he had an anger problem. I don't want to mention his name. I don't want my name mentioned, but I think he was threatened that paratransit services would be canceled. He thought I was just playing with the operators, which I'm not. And finally, the cards I passed out to the entire board, in addition to being a pizza cook and a pizza maker at John's Incredible Pizza in Roseville, I also do political and sponsor connection consultant work for a local cheesecake business. Check them out at tothebayandbackcheesecake.com. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rick. As a pizza junkie, I will soon be visiting you. Okay, that's all the cards that I have for items not on the agenda. Is there any other member of the public at this time that would like to address the board on an item not on the agenda? Please come forward.
Jeffrey Tartagia has his hand up.
Okay. Jeffrey, we'll take you in just a minute.
Hi, my name is Aquilina Sharp. I'm a frequent rider on our Regional Transit Transportation. I used to work for Greyhound as a trainer. I have ran into several obnoxious ambassadors and trainers. Like he said over here, I really don't want to give names because it kind of causes a collision, especially when you're a frequent rider and they know you by face, maybe not by name, but by face and by Connect card. What I'm trying to address the board with today is maybe there can be implemented towards to the trainers to train the ambassadors and bus drivers to treat people with dignity, courtesy, and respect. As a Greyhound dog, that's what they called us. That's what we learned, and that's how we were trained. To treat everybody, no matter what they look like, no matter what style and type of clothes they were wearing. Okay? There's some people that just like they're homeless. Okay? And they're not. There's a lot of people that live in poverty, low income. Don't judge a book by its cover. Okay? I would like the board to address whoever they need to ask their ambassadors and trainers to train with dignity, courtesy, and respect for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate those comments. I don't know who over here, Ms. Hines, I would imagine, or take that into account. I will say that as a frequent writer of the system myself, that I'm extremely proud of most of our employees and go above and beyond. And I've seen things that really have wowed me, and they don't have a clue who I am. So they're not doing it because there's a board member on board. But we can always do better. We can always strive to do better, and training is usually the case. So if we could look into that, that would be fantastic. Finally, Mr. Tartagia.
I presume you can hear me now?
We can hear you.
What I'm going to direct is I would love next year if the board would look into understanding how the cancellations affect riders. Not the percentages, not the other things. Since December 1st, you had much of the time when there's more than 20 bus cancellations. And typically, you will not just pick the 15-minute routes, but you will have a period of time for 2 or 3 hours when you are canceling buses. I know it has affected me in getting to Morris Kaiser facility, and I know it's affected others in trying to get to doctor's appointments, because looking at what the schedule has to say and getting the word out about what is canceled and what is scheduled is information. But at the same time, I will say I've seen better efforts of operators on training regarding the strollers and regarding carts, because certainly with the new low floor, you are going to have serious conflicts with carts and other things down that central aisle. There's much work that still needs to be done on regards to the low floor vehicles. I am deeply concerned about the mechanical wheelchairs trying to get access. I've observed on our current Siemens flight at the high level that they have trouble negotiating getting up into the front of the light rail vehicles as of now, and the angle of which they are approaching at in the new low floor vehicles, I believe presents a great deal of difficulty. But I'm hoping that the sound system, as you're testing right now, is providing, and the cameras are providing clues as to what you need to be observing and seeing right now in this degree of testing at the locations and sites. And with that, I will stop this degree of public comment but encourage that you at least have 2 meetings next year that goes into some of the difficulties and certainly explains the education that needs to be provided for the low floor vehicles that are coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. That's all the cards that I have. Did I see a hand back here? Yes, if you can come forward to the podium. You don't have to state your name, but it's always nice to know who we're talking to.
No problem. I know. Good evening, members of the board. Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Litiane Lamuin, and I actually tried to attend the last meeting regarding the light rail at Dos Rios, Marisol. So I'm a resident at Marisol Village, and I'm a single parent and a student at Sac State. I witnessed and I experienced firsthand what that, go ahead. Sure.
Just a moment, just be out of protocol for the way the meeting runs. So this is for items that are not on the agenda, and what you're addressing is probably item 7.2, I'm guessing?
No,
Oh,
actually,
no?
I was
Okay.
just getting to that.
Okay, all right. I apologize.
No problem.
Go.
I was beginning to mention the fact that I'm a single parent, and my children and I experienced firsthand what that journey is like from Marisol Village down to Alkali Flats. So I just wanted to bring up, because my fellow resident here brought up the training of bus drivers. It's so unfortunate because on Saturday, my family experienced, a difficult time. We were sitting at that bus station for the number 51, which starts at 8th and F. The bus driver saw us, and he just left. I don't want to cry, but I just wanted to bring to light, right? It's hit or miss. It's not all bus drivers. I think there should be one code of conduct, but I see that some of your bus drivers take things into their own hand as if they're God. Sometimes even the shuttle drivers wouldn't even call 911 for a gentleman who was on the floor. And when I called to report it to our team, isn't this a civil service? So it kind of blew my mind when the bus driver tried to justify her action for not calling 911. And I just wanted to bring this to light, yeah, because this just happened on Saturday morning. I will call it in. Maybe we'll, get some videotape and see what happened.
Can you tell us what time so we can?
It was a 12. I can go back into my phone. I will look it up. But it was, we had to be down at Oak Park at 1 p.m. It was like the 12:20 or right before the 1 o'clock hour.
Thank you.
And we were in that parking lot just tossing our football waiting while the bus driver was maybe 50 feet back. But when we stood at the bus stop in time for it, he just left from that spot. So I just wanted to bring that to light. I think there should be random audits as well as maybe training for, a standard of how our bus drivers can be because I think that if we can integrate and work together, it would be so much more prosperous. I think there's a definitive line, and sometimes these bus drivers, it's difficult. They just leave. Thank you.
No, you have 30 more seconds if you like.
Okay, I will have more to say in a bit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Can you do me a favor and fill out a speaker card so we can have your information? Oh, you did? Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. In terms of the one of the last comments about the audit, can either Lisa or Henry maybe just make mention for everyone in the room about the reinstatement of what we are doing and along those lines? I think it's important for our constituent to hear how we're checking randomly our service.
Yeah, Chair Kennedy, members of the board, I'm happy to say that the Mystery Writer program will be reinstated. We have a vendor, and they're going to start early January, so we have a program in place to do these random audits. And it's super exciting because the vendor we chose is all automated, so we're going to get instant feedback. We can look at the data, and it's truly a mystery program, so our operators will have no clue who it is that's writing at any given time, and they'll look for a variety of issues, obviously behavior and performance, but cleanliness and all the things that are important to our ridership. But that should be starting within 2 weeks. So we've worked hard to get to this point.
And also, when we get this type of feedback, we're going to do investigation, thoroughly to find out what happened and take some actions.
Good, thank you.
Great.
Okay, Chair Kennedy, I have a Howard Jones with his hand up.
Okay, Mr. Jones. Well, before Mr. Jones goes, I'm sorry, Mr. Jones. For the young woman that just spoke, I want to thank you for being here and apologize for your bad experience, and know that we take it very seriously as a board and as staff. Customer service is really what we take most important at RT. So it doesn't always work out that way. Big organization, lots going on, lots of moving parts. But I appreciate you coming here tonight. It takes a lot of guts to stand up there, and we'll do better. And thank you, Mr. Cerna, for pointing out the changes that we're making. Yes, our caller online.
Yes, I'm Howard Jones. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was looking at the low-level RT train. Is that going to be the stop that's going to be on for the Dos Rios complex? And the other thing is, will the wheelchairs still go in the front door, or how will that work?
Okay. Thank you. We're going to have staff respond to that briefly.
Good evening. My name is Laura Ham. The Dos Rios Light Rail Station will be constructed to accommodate low-floor trains, and they will be on the blue line as soon as we convert all light rail stations on the blue line to accommodate those low-floor trains.
So the gold line's first, blue line to follow.
Yes.
Thank you.
And does the low-level line lower the price we pay for the development?
I don't think it works that way, but you also had the question about the wheelchairs and loading of the wheelchairs.
Yeah.
As far as wheelchair boarding on the low-floor trains, so they're low-floor, they're accessible with a passenger deployed bridge plate. So you press a button and a small ramp will come out and allow you onto the train in the center of the train, the two center doors.
The center doors, so not front or back center.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you, Laura.
Oh.
Anything else, sir?
Does the lower level change the price we pay for development?
Well, I'll just briefly say that the lower level trains are something that the public has wanted for a very long time. They're enhanced mobility and the ability for those with mobility issues to board and disembark the trains is a customer request that we've had for a very long time, and it's proven in other communities to serve that purpose. Okay. Thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate it. That takes us to, I believe that no more in the audience. Okay, that takes us to item 7.1.
Okay, we have 7.1, Resolution 2023-12128, declaring electrical and plumbing chiller damage at the 1429th Street Main Administrative Building an emergency and authorizing the suspension of competitive bidding. And this does require a 4/5 vote and a roll call vote. And Laura Ham is here to present this item.
Thank you.
Good evening again. So as stated in the resolution, we have had an issue at our 1429th Street facility where we experienced some flooding in the basement, which also damaged electrical conduit. And so we are required to reroute that electrical conduit as well as make other repairs. And we're asking that the board suspend competitive bidding requirements for this procurement and authorize any repairs to the plumbing system as well as the electrical system.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Move approval?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Budge, second by Director Cerna. Is there any member of the public that would like to address it this time?
Did you have one speaker card for 7.1?
No, I don't, unless they're out of order. Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Did I miss anybody? No. Mr. Hodgkins, did you want to speak on this item? Oh.
Thanks. I actually did fill out a speaker card for it. I don't know what happened to it. I gave all my speaker cards to Adam to fill out one at a time. Yes, I rise in support of this resolution and the suspension of competitive bidding because as we are experiencing right here, right now, tonight, that a lot of us have never been, particularly myself, I've never been in this building before. I don't know what's available around here to go and have a bite to eat at, and so I'll eat when I get home. But I'm referring to the Gym Boys just next door to RT. I've known about that for 25 years. One of the light rail drivers said that a lot of drivers go there. Yes, I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know if this is going to require a total takedown of the building and build a new one, or if it's just going to be hopefully hopefully a remodeling and renovation of not only the building itself but also the HVAC system. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rick. Any other members of the public? Okay, hearing none, as we said, we will have a dual voice. I will say that this is kind of evidence that we really need to, as a district, look at our facilities, our aging facilities, our inadequate facilities. As we're sitting in this room, we can see that we actually don't have to sit on each other's laps, which is nice. No offense, Mr. Jennings. But it is something we need to look very seriously at as our facilities continue to age. We're going to have these expenses and what's appropriate and what works for the efficiency of the organization. Okay, with that, please roll call vote.
Director Budge.
Yes.
Director Daniels.
Aye.
Director Hume.
Aye.
Director Jennings.
Yes.
Director Kozlowski.
Yes.
Director Laloe.
Aye.
Director Maple.
Aye.
Director Cerna.
Aye.
Director Singh Allen.
Aye.
Director Valenzuela. And Chair Kennedy.
Aye.
Resolution passes with 11 votes.
Thank you. 7.2, please.
So 7.2, motion to reconsider board vote on item 7.1, Dos Rios Light Rail Station, taken November 13th, 2023. And Laura Ham is here to present this item.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Point of order.
Yes.
Since we've already had one member of the board indicate that he is going to request deferring consideration of this matter to, I believe, the first meeting in January. I just want to, before Laura gets up there, maybe in the interest of time, see if there's interest in Director Hume's motion so that she doesn't spend a lot of time going over her report.
Thank you. That's a very good suggestion, Mr. Hume.
Are you asking for me to remake the motion?
Well, make it in a timely manner.
Oh, I thought at the top of the agenda was being timely, but yeah, I move to continue this item to January.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to continue in a second. Members of the board, Vice Chair Jennings.
So at this point in time, the
May I say one? I've changed my flight plans to be here for that. Just if that helps, I don't know.
That's some impressive internet action there.
It's called having an assistant.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, at this point in time, I'm not certain that the meeting is going to be on the 8th or the 22nd. The 22nd would be far too late with the February 1st deadline that this project is up against. And so if the meeting is not going to happen on February the 8th, that would be a tremendous problem for the ability to get this project moving forward. And it sounds like the meeting is not going to be on the 8th, but instead be on the 22nd. It's too close.
Actually, the motion was approved for the 8th.
Right, we changed the calendar, so it'd be the 8th.
Right, but I'm
January
also hearing about the number of people who won't be here on January the 8th. So I'm only hearing one person say that they now will be.
No, I think there was two that couldn't.
This one.
So Rick, I could let others go to that meeting with the Folsom Cordova and be here on the 8th. So that covers the two who were not able to, who were originally not able to attend on the 8th.
So we would have a full board moving forward. Is that correct? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what I'm hearing.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, is there any, yes?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Just another point of order. I know there's probably a handful of folks here that want to speak to the substance of 7.2, but if it's the will of the board and it's clear that there's going to be a majority interested in deferring this consideration of the substance of 7.2, I would respectfully suggest you might want to hold those comments for that meeting in January. And of course, you have the ability to speak to any item that's on the agenda tonight, but we may not consider it tonight. So just want to put that out there.
Thank you. Okay, any other members of the board? All right. Having heard the eloquent explanation by Director Cerna, should this motion proceed, we would continue it until January the 8th. Therefore, we will have a full-fledged hearing again on the substance of the issue. Tonight now, at this point, we're really discussing whether or not to continue it. So I can go through these cards because, as Mr. Cerna said, this is the public's right to come to that podium for something that's been on the agenda, but it may not be the best strategy to do it at this point if it's going to be continued. So at this point, can I see a show of hands of anybody who's who's turned in a card who wants to be heard tonight rather than on the 8th? Okay, thank you. Then, okay, thank you. Then I really, because it's agendized and they're here, we will take public testimony. I would prefer it if you would try to, as much as possible, direct your comments specifically to the issue at hand, which is the continuance. But as I said, it is agendized and this is a public meeting, so.
Chair, can we ask for a straw poll?
Which?
Just in the interest of letting the public know kind of where the board's at.
Sure. At this point, we'll take a straw poll, which is not a non-binding vote by the board, just to give indication of where we're at on this issue. If this were to be voted on at this very moment, if I could see a show of hands for those that would support the motion of continuing to the 8th, please raise your hands. And I cannot see, so it looks like 1, 2, 3. We have clearly a majority of the board. Are you still interested in discussing this tonight, or would you like to come back on the 8th? Okay. All right. Please. I think it's off. It fell.
Do you want to allow 2 minutes? Or
You can guess it out with 3 minutes. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be brief. My name is Sarah Garrity.
Chair, shouldn't we be voting on whether or not we're going to bring it back for reconsideration?
We're going to vote on that after I've heard from the public. The public has a right to speak before we vote. That's.
For clarity, this agendized item has 2 parts to it.
Correct.
You're suggesting that we're going
Well,
to.
first, though, we have a motion on the floor.
Yes.
Which, should this motion go forward, both of these points are moot at this particular meeting. I'm just giving the public the respect for coming down here.
I understand that completely.
Yeah.
I'm just asking about the actual item on the agenda, not the motion to continue it. The actual item has two parts to it.
Whether
We're-
to
we're
reconsider,
pushing-
and then if to reconsider, what's the
We're
reconsideration?
pushing both of those if
Yes.
the motion
Yes, sir.
on the table passes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. I apologize if I wasn't clear.
Yeah, no problem.
Sarah Garrity from Sacramento Metropolitan Advocates for Rail and Transit. On behalf of our organization, SMART, we are here to voice support for the motion for reconsideration of reconstruction, and we do support the full funding of the construction of Dos Rios Light Rail Station. And we did submit a letter of support on record to the board. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Chair, there's two hands online as well.
Okay, who do we have online?
Howard Jones, or do you want to?
Well, let's go with Mr. Jones. His
Okay.
hand was up before this gentleman got up, so go in that order. That's okay. Mr. Jones,
Yeah.
welcome back.
Okay, now, is this delay on this vote gonna delay the setup for the light rail station, or what's?
No, this should not. That's one of the reasons that we're trying to, as Vice Chair has pointed out, we don't want to push it too far down the road because that could delay. But this still keeps the option open.
I know, but see, what I'm saying is we made all this money up years ago and we was at budget. Now the budget is doubled. And I don't want to go in the next year and have to do more than what we already did twice again.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is that your comments?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir, at the podium.
Dan Allison. I represent Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders, and I would like to thank Mr. Jennings for bringing this back to the board. And I would have to ask why, after a month, a board member is unprepared and wants to delay it. That's crazy. That's just absolutely crazy. But I will make a statement, and if I can make it back in January, I will come back and say the same again. STAR supports both of the motions, the reconsideration, the rescission of the previous motion, and moving forward on construction. We think that a promise was made to Marisol Village to have a light rail station, and for those residents and every other resident that will be in the River District and all the other businesses in the River District, I think they are owed a light rail station, and we believe that it should be there. We believe that the alternative of increased bus service, while not a bad idea, does not make up for the lack of a light rail station. We want to see it constructed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Stanton. Barbara Stanton?
Good evening.
Good
Can
evening.
you hear me? Thank
We
you. Barbara Stanton, Ridership for the Masses, and I am the member at large for the Leadership Committee. Simple. And this is very simple. So, Ridership for the Masses urges that both of tonight's, sorry, brain fart. Let me just go through this. Ridership for the Masses urges that you complete the vision and fulfill the promise to the residents of Marisol Village, the River District, and Sacramento region. It's the only right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Is there anyone else that would like to speak tonight rather than wait and hold off until the 8th? Okay, please.
Hi, Coco Cocazella, resident of District 4. I'm sorry, I can't address the deferment situation. I'm not really well informed as to why that happened. But firstly, I'd like to say I support the development and completion of the light rail station. I'm glad to see this back as a topic in some way or another. I'd like to call upon the directors to engage in appropriate logical analysis and focus in determining how this goes. and I'm not trying to blast anybody or rehash history spuriously. I'd just like to point out some logical traps that I feel that we fell into in the last meeting. So for instance, number one, faulty comparisons of project resources versus resource fairness across the entire transit region. So several directors, I feel, declared concerns that allocating more funds to the project would possibly handicap vague and non-specific issues happening in their districts. Anyway, I feel that each neighborhood that has a project wish can do the same diligence as this project and go through all the steps of research, planning, partnerships, funding, and so forth. Basically, I feel if one were to follow this fairness logic to its end, no project would ever be completed since there will always be a backlog of needs around the entire region. Also, goodwill and support given now across district boundaries will come back to your district when needed. Number two, lack of or lower rigor about the realities of the chosen project alternative. I feel SAC-RT staff did a very good job of the report that was given last time, but it felt like there were too many implied and not fully vetted assurances about the scope, funding, and timelines of the alternative. And I think Director Jennings in today's new info had alluded somewhat to that. Number three, improper blame on project funding and construction challenges. For instance, how did the funding and development catastrophes suddenly manifest? These challenges seem to be used as reasons to defer this project, but I think it would be cool to, figure out how we got to this being a surprise to begin with. Also, if I remember correctly, at the last meeting, there was a motion to defer this discussion pending further information, and we sort of got there anyway. So I'm not sure why there was such eagerness to push this. Lastly, neglected opportunities as a trailblazer in urban planning. In many ways, I feel that having an opportunity to operate as a visionary municipality and transit-oriented, equitable urban density development and partnerships should have been the biggest driving factor to keeping the original project on track. This confluence of partnerships and promises made to the community should be honored. Otherwise, goodwill and credibility can be lost. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
In the last meeting, I believe that there was a misunderstanding, misconception about our safety, number one, okay, as walking back and forth to the light rail station and not having a bus going in our district, in our neighborhood to pick us up, to take us to and from downtown or to and from the Township 9 station. Tonight, okay, we had a Christmas party and we were passing out flyers because someone said the board wants to reconsider and approve see if we can have an approval to go ahead with the Dos Rios station. Okay, there's a lot of us here tonight, more than there was at the last meeting. I'm not understanding. Maybe you need to break it down and put it in layman's terms. Okay, what do you mean by you want to push another date to January 8th instead of making a vote tonight? There's not enough of you here to make a vote, or is there enough here to disapprove the vote? What is it? That's my question.
Okay. So I will say this, that the way this came down, it was a little unusual, is after the last meeting, I received a request from Vice Chair Jennings to put this on the agenda for reconsideration. It's not my job to say yes or no to a fellow board member, but to accommodate wherever I possibly can. And so we put it back on for reconsideration. Since that time, there have been board members who have reached out to staff as well as other board members within the Brown Act to indicate that they still need more information. I fall in that category myself as far as the funding and the availability of funding. And I'm not speaking for any other board member at this point, and I'll let any board member address you as they see fit. But that's where we're at today. So this will show up on the agenda for January 8th, just as it did tonight. This and I appreciate, you saying, put it in layman's terms, because, government can be a little mystifying sometimes, and I understand that, and I'm sympathetic toward that. It's not unusual for an item to come before the board or any board to be continued to another time if a board member needs more information to make a sound decision, and I believe that's why we're here tonight. Now, I am affording the opportunity for people to speak out of respect for the fact that you took time to come down here and the fact that you support this district as much as you do to be here on a Monday evening. I appreciate that, and so therefore I'm affording that time, and you will also be afforded that time on the 8th.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Copeland.
The RT board made a promise there's going to be a light rail station. They honored your promise. There's nothing in that area, no grocery stores, no hospitals, no restaurants really. Plus, they got a lot of children or senior citizens living in that complex. They're going to walk to Alkali Flats? Honor your promise. And board members that need more time, why didn't you study this agenda item long before this? Why do you need more time? Some of you should not be on the RT board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Copeland.
Chair.
Okay.
Chair.
Yes, swear.
Can I ask?
Yes, Mr. Daniels.
Can I ask Henry or somebody to address when the information came back to us regarding the ability for reconsideration? When did we get the information that there might be other funding sources and all of that? When was that provided to board members? How long ago?
Most recently, the request to re-agendize the item came to us last.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking where did the information, when did we receive the information as board members that it was going to come back and be on the agenda for reconsideration, and why it was coming back?
So the Strategic Growth Council sent a response letter to SHRA on December 5th.
No. I think, if I may, Mr. Daniels, I think what he's getting at is when did the agenda get officially published and was available to board members that this would be on the agenda
The
for
agenda was
reconsideration?
posted on Friday morning, just this past Friday.
That's exactly. I'm trying to make sure that the audience understands
I
also
misunderstood
that
the question.
that information was given to us just recently, just given to us. And for something like a $40 million project, it may be very reasonable to take a little more time to look at it since we did just receive that information.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
I
it.
just
Thank you.
add one more. Vice Chair Ginny wants to say something. I'll let him to say first.
I'll wait.
We got the request from. Well, we get request from Vice Chair on Thursday. Then we put on the Monday morning, so that's very much a timeline.
A week ago.
Last Thursday.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you said Monday. So Friday it came out publicly.
Yeah, come
Yes,
out,
that's what I-
Friday, but Thursday we get.
Was when the request came in.
And then you approved.
So
Yeah.
so the director's point is that we didn't have a lot of time to think about the reconsideration as it was. Yes, sir, Mr. Hume.
No, I'm sorry, I yielded.
Oh, I'm
Vice Chair.
sorry. Vice Chair Jennings.
So on the motion to reconsider, is that if that's what we're to take up next, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
If the motion to reconsider, we're going to take that up, it would stand to reason.
Well, I'm sorry, I misspoken. If this is continued, we will not be taking it up today. We'll take it up if the motion that's on the floor currently fails.
Okay, so if it's continued.
Yes, sir.
And if there is a reconsideration vote, shouldn't we have the staff report in order to have that information, in order to be able to reconsider the information?
It's not typical to have and I'm talking to somebody with much more experience than I have, but to have a full staff report on an item that's going to be continued, if we're going to have that at a further date.
I'm just saying that if in fact we are to make that decision tonight, some of us need that information in order to be able to decide which way to vote. And if we need that information, then that's the staff that gives us the information for our reconsideration.
Okay.
I don't know where else it comes from unless you're just going to read the staff report by yourself and then interpret it on your own, which is, in my opinion, the staff is here. They're prepared to do a presentation. We should hear that presentation for consideration and for making a sound decision tonight.
And I don't want to speak for the maker of the motion if you want to, I mean, Mr. Hume, you did raise your hand. If you'd like to address that, I'd be willing to, but if you'd like to address that.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of reiterate what has been said here by some of my colleagues and address some of the folks that spoke at the podium because they seem to be directing their comments toward me. You know, I was in Washington, D.C. all of last week, didn't get home till late Friday night, saw the email request for this item to be reconsidered. I've had one opportunity to speak with the general manager. And so if you want to move forward with the item tonight, I will stand by my no vote from the last go-round because I don't think it's right for RT to shoulder the entire burden of the increase in the cost of this light rail station. If, however, there is new information, new sources of money, or there's something that to be discussed that I wasn't aware of then, I'm willing to reconsider that item. That's why I wanted the time so that those discussions can be had.
So you would have the time, and I'm speaking for myself as well here. The additional time will prepare us to ask more pointed and poignant questions of staff during a staff report. I think that there's so little information right now that we don't even have the information to know what questions to ask.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
If I could. So,
is this your fourth point of order, Mr. Smith?
No, it's not.
No, it's good.
No, I think Director Hume makes a very good point, and as everyone will recall, I was a yes vote at the last meeting on this for both the substitute and the substitute. But in the interest of giving a comfort level to those that did not vote affirmatively to fund the station last time, to Mr. Hume's point, I am prepared as someone that is supportive of getting this thing funded and behind us so that we can have that rail service out there that we did commit to. I am interested in getting to yes for as many board members as possible, those from Elk Grove, those from Citrus Heights, those from other parts of Sacramento County that don't include the city of Sacramento. So that's my way of explaining why I'm a yes vote or a yes poll. I responded to the straw poll earlier in terms of waiting. I would rather wait to the 8th so that we can have that comfort level appreciated by a majority of this board. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
If I may as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Not that I have anything more to add from both directors, Cerna and Hume, but again, this is a big project. We got sort of in bullet format points of reconsideration, which is really not a proper staff report. So I think in the interest for getting to a bigger consensus, which I think sends a stronger message, that it's not on, we don't want to be pitting cities and counties in the region against each other. This is a regional board. And I want, and I'm committed to making regional decisions. And so I think more information, erring on the side of more information is a good practice, because that's where we all can go back in our respective leadership roles, knowing that we did the right thing with all of the information. So what I would ask of staff is these bullets aren't, we need more. So as we get a more thorough staff report, I think the last one had options. And if we want to move forward in supporting, I'm committed to supporting a light rail station for Dos Rios. So I said that last time and I'm saying it again. I'm committed to that. To that end, help us get there. So if we can get more points and more concrete information, then I think that will go a long way for the region. Because I think the worst decisions are split. The best decision is where we can come to a bigger consensus, because it sends the right message that we are working together as a regional board. And that's really what my commitment is to I'm part of this team for, being a part of a regional board to do the right thing for each respective city and county seat, is to play that role and help get us to that place. So more information, stronger staff report. I'm willing to lend myself as a resource in terms of, if you want to, of what we need, but I think you have some good bullet points here. That's nice. That's a good summary statement. Now, more information, more commitments. Advocacy is not an assurance. So, if we have, and I've had great conversations with our senator. I do want to do a shout out to Senator Ashby. She's been a great resource and an ally and an ambassador for this project. And to that end, just more information is good. This is all we have right now. So let us get to a stronger yes, with all of us getting the information that we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Director Maple.
Thank you, Chair. I think for you before me. Okay.
Oh, I thought you were pointing at her.
No,
Oh,
you go
okay.
ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
okay.
I see my time.
Director Little, oh, wait. So I want to almost move 7.3 to another meeting, the way I'm bumbling my way through this one. But please, go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you, Chair. I appreciate you. And I know this is the first time I've ever seen like a straw poll during my short period of time being elected. So it's been an interesting experience, and appreciate the conversation, and know that I certainly, as a yes vote last time, certainly want to see as many of my colleagues as possible get to yes. And I understand that more information is needed. So I just want to put that out there. I do have a question though for staff, whoever might know this. I know that there's the timing extension for 60 days, so it seems like we'll have that amount of time in January, but is there any risk associated with us postponing to January? Does that, is there any risk associated? I'm just curious, like from the funding perspective.
Good question.
So the letter from SGC to SHRA that I mentioned earlier that they received on December 5th gave a 60-day extension. So we should have until at least February 1 to respond. And that letter clarified that they were looking for a path forward and a funding plan by that time. So early January would seemingly provide sufficient time.
Great. Great. And, I was prepared to vote on this tonight, but I do understand my colleagues' concerns. And so I just wanted to take a moment to say in this space what I will, likely also say on January, which is just to thank our general manager, Henry Lee. I really appreciate you. I know you've been working overtime and meeting with various stakeholders and just really going out of your way to find ways that you can value engineer the project. And I know that's a lot of hard work. So I just want to appreciate you and the whole entire team for doing that. And also, as mentioned by Director Singh Allen, really appreciative of Senator Ashby. She's gone above and beyond and just has tried to do everything she can between working with the governor's office, working with the Strategic Growth Council, various stakeholders. I know this is a really important project. And, just I think that all of those things show that we are working together. I think that there's a path forward, I hope. And I will be supporting that path forward when the time is right. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Director. Director Laloe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So just kind of to follow up with what my colleagues indicated, I'm definitely on board. I think a little bit more information will definitely be helpful. But I also want to remind my colleagues that this is a regional decision, and this is not all just about Sacramento. I think the time will come where the RT needs to be expanded in almost every region within the county, starting from Elk Grove, Citrus Heights. So I'm hoping that once we get the information, all the facts by January 8th, that I'm hoping this will be a unanimous vote on this, so we can really show the rest of the region how committed we are. And I can't say enough about our general manager, Henry Lee, for really working extremely hard to make this, make the numbers pencil out. And and I can't stop at this point without saying a massive thanks to our Senator Angela Ashby, who's been truly fighting for this project to see what kind of help we need to make sure that we can push this project forward in the benefit of the region. So again, Mr. Chair, as far as pushing the date to January 8th, I will support that motion. But I also like to ask the staff to be fully prepared, and hopefully we can all come together with a unanimous yes vote on this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. And, that was in line with Director St. Allen as far as the staff report. I would ask my fellow board members if you have specific pointed questions that you would like the staff to address at the next meeting, should this go forward to the next meeting, not this evening, that you'll reach out to Mr. Lee and his staff and to provide them with all of that information that we'll be asking so that we don't have to have this on the agenda a third time. Anybody else?
Chair, there is 2 hands up online.
Okay, who's next?
Jeffrey Tartagia.
Jeffrey.
To the board, I'm going to invite them because you may not be privy to all the information. And Pat, you should remind the board that Angela was many years ago first on this board and got off this board. But right now what is significant is the region we're talking about does not have representation on city council right now. So I appreciate the fact that others are stepping in for this. I will also remind the board that for those people coming from that area, the 33 stops at 5:30. This is something that should have been considered long before this time about making sure that both a 15, an 11, and a 33 works all the weekends and is on a standard schedule at least until 7 o'clock. You brought that up at last meeting consideration, but I don't know whether it is going forward on this. Also, you probably need a 3D printer so you understand what now that the first proposal for the site is not what's going forward right now. That needs to be something that staff needs to bring to your attention as well. I'm aware of something going on the 7th over on the other side, and somebody else is aware of Horn, or Howard is it, that's down on the Gold Line further. You need some better understanding of what's going on for building light rail stations, as well as the fact that the prices have increased, and it seems terribly ineffective that it was only till August of this year that you realize the significant impact of this situation. I just bring those things to your attention and hope again next year you guys can do better about what you need to understand, and staff reports give you the complete information, not partial information. And part of it is because, like you said, Pat was not here. The LOA has put that California will be 38 billions in a deficit budget situation. So unlikely the transportation dollars is going to come from the state level. And what the federal government level is likewise like right now. I now serve on various aspects, so hear what's going on federally as well as state level and what is happening. And we're interested to hear what SACOG, has likewise come up with. And with that, I stop. But bring it to your attention, board, that you need to be doing better on knowing about what's going on with your new planned light rail stations. And I believe a 3D printer will help you understand what has been changing, and you don't have the complete picture.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jeffrey. Who's next?
So we have Tammy Dramer, who also sent in a written public comment.
But Tammy's online.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Dramer.
Yes, hello. This is Tammy Dramer. I'm Executive Director of Organized Sacramento, and under that group, we run the Sacramento Transit Riders Union. We had long discussions about this, and we're very excited. This weekend, we found out that this would be considered. We were very disappointed that the station had been shelved, and understand that you need to be able to move in a timely manner in order to not lose the support that you are getting now that that has changed. need to be able to move in a timely manner. I am concerned that you're going to lose funding on the shelf, that you may lose funding. And a lot of this has to do with circumstances that politely discussed in realms like this. But everybody needs to remember that there are moms, single moms, that have no access to grocery stores, medical services, other retail. If a mom runs out of milk for cereal in the morning, they have nowhere to go to feed their kids. And your political stuff needs to be left on a shelf because it is about the lifestyle and wellness of the people who live in that district. They literally live on an island. And just let's move this forward. Let's get going. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rimmer. Appreciate you taking the time. That's all we have online?
That is it.
Okay, and any other board members, one more time? Okay, then we will call the question. There's a motion by Director Hume, and it was seconded by Director Budge to continue this item to January the 8th, and I have asked the board to please, in a very timely way, reach out to staff if you have specific questions that they need to address when the item comes before us at that time. So with that, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
we heard loud and clear from all board members. I want to make a commitment.
You need to speak into the mic.
Okay. Sorry about that. Maybe this is not working. This one. So staff heard loud and clear.
Don't get too close.
From all board members. And I want to make a commitment. I'm going to make sure myself and the staff will be able to talk to each of our 11 board members to be able to answer your questions and address your concerns. Then we can present a more convincing and more robust presentation next time.
If I may.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead. Are you sure?
Go.
Okay.
I think it was my choice, actually.
Well, yeah, you choose. So just, in light of some of the public comments and everything, I do want to say that I feel like Director Hume was almost singled out, and I think that that's unfair. I think that there was general consensus here that more information is good, and the timeliness or the lack thereof in terms of being prepared for this meeting. That's something that, there's consensus here that we do know that we just did not get this information in a time and in a space that we felt that we can move forward with the right decision. So this is, and I just want to say that because I feel like some of the comments were unfairly targeted. I put myself as one of those that needs more information, which I think is good. But I also, going back to some of my deliberations at the last meeting, in terms of how we fund capital projects, we should develop as a board and love to get staff input of sort of a process so that we don't do this again. Again, I go back to process, it's big in our city. We're really strong advocates for good governance and a process. And it's real easy to see if someone, if a project or a person or a group of people or whatever, we need to follow a process that has priorities identified, that are vetted, so that we come into this prepared, as some of our friends in the audience said. So this is something that, it's a relationship. As we move forward in the beginning of the year, I think it's a good time to visit priorities and have a calendar and have things laid out more clearly. And again, that process, I think, is really important as we all continue to check in, because I know there's going to be priority projects for all of us here. And so that's going to be important that we're on the same page and we're on the same team. And that is, to Director Laloi's point, I would love for this to be unanimous, because you all do deserve to have a light rail station. I wasn't part of the previous board decisions, but I'm committed to seeing this, as I said before. But I'm also committed to good governance, transparency, and a process that we all understand and sort of follow It just sets everything up front, and we know what we're working towards, and we have a set of goals. So, I'll just put that out there as you help develop next year where and when we can have those opportunities for not only goal setting, but prioritizing, and what that looks like, I think would help eliminate some of the frustrations and the challenges that we faced for this meaningful project. So those are my 2 cents on this.
Thank you. Thank you, Director. Appreciate it. And I believe Director Laloi has a brief comment.
Very brief.
Okay.
So thank you very much. Mr. Lee, just from what I'm hearing from some of the residents in that area, and I'm very optimistic that we're going to be unanimous come January 8th. But in an interim, is there anything that we could do to help the residents with simple transportation, whether it's early mornings to school, middays for shopping, late evening again, to just get things done? Is there any possibility?
Planning staff, they have, been working with the community and multiple community leaders to say what we can do, in the interim. And, I got a copy of proposals from my staff to me to see if we can actually, extend the evening time, because right now we stop at 5 or 6 p.m. And with 5, we can maybe extend to a later time. That will help, some working families to help, for them to get to the destination safely.
If you could have that solid option.
Sure.
By January 8th, so we can begin.
Sure, look at it. I have 5, team members writing down what you just said. So I'd love to hear from you guys, from all board members, to say what yeah.
Thank you. Okay. 7.3. I believe it's the intent motion to impeach the chair.
So 7.3, intent motion to select the chair and vice chair of the Sacramento Regional Transit Board of Directors for 2024. And Shelley Valentin is here to present this item.
Thank you. Chair, I just want to give a very brief background on this item for the benefit of our newer board members. So what you have before you tonight is an intent motion to nominate the vice chair and the chair. And what we have done in the past, consistent with our past practice, is to extend the term of the chair and the vice chair. That was started in 2018 when we amended the administrative code, allowing the chair and the vice chair to serve successive terms on the board. So tonight is a motion to nominate, and then the election will actually occur on the January meeting.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that information. I'm going to follow up on Mr. Cerna's comments the last time we did this, and it was, why don't we do this all the time? Was basically the question. And so, should we go forward with this recommendation and we stick with what we've done the last several times as far as 2-year terms? I think we should more codify it so that it just becomes part of, at AQMD, it's just part of, we have 2-year terms. And if there's somewhere in our board rules or something, if we go forward with this, it's something that we should probably consider making more formal in the future. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Is there any member of the public at this time that has any comments or questions on this item? Anyone online?
I don't see anyone online.
Okay. Is there an intent motion?
I make a motion that we nominate or select Mr. Kennedy as the chair, Mr. Jennings as the vice chair.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Thank you very much. 7.4, please.
7.4, Resolution 2023-12127, receive and file the annual comprehensive financial report and designate the operating surplus and working capital reserve for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023. And Jason Johnson is here to present this item.
Good evening, Chair Kennedy and members of the board. Jason Johnson, VP of Finance, CFO. I am pleased to present the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023. The goal of the independent audit is to provide reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free of material misstatements and conform with generally accepted accounting principles. The district is contracted with Crowe LLP, an independent certified public accountant, to perform the audit of the financial statements. The auditors have issued an unqualified or clean opinion of the financial statements. This means that the financial statements are free of any material misstatements. This is the fourth year in a row.
Can I enter just in a minute here? Do we have a quorum still? We do? Okay. All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's okay. This is the fourth year in a row that SACRT has received no audit findings. For fiscal year 23, operating revenues exceeding expenditures, resulting in a surplus of $3.2 million. While this strengthens our financial position, as staff has previously noted, operating funding gaps are projected for the next 3 fiscal years. Staff continues to work closely with SACOG to ensure SACRT receives the maximum allocation of SB 125 funding to not only close the projected operational gaps, but to free up discretionary monies such as federal 5307 funds to address significant capital needs. I would like to thank the board of directors for their exceptional direction on fiscal strategy, Henry, Shelley, and the executive management team for their strong leadership, and the finance team for their hard work throughout the year in completing the audit and annual financial report. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Additionally, Brad Shelley, a partner at Crowe LLP, is present and available for questions. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions at this time? And keep in mind, this is a receive and file. Any questions? Is there any member of the public that would like to address the board on this item at this time?
Jeffrey Tartagia has his hand up.
Jeffrey.
I'm going to direct back the question of when does SB 1 funding going to be ending? And the reason I bring that up is because as we go to electrical vehicles, SB 1 funding is dependent upon gasoline revenue. And that's a question I asked for because you've spoken about 4 more years of looking at the, shall we say, cycle. Don't have to answer the question now, but it's something that I think the board should be aware of. With the fact that $38 billion is the planned LOA deficit being projected for this year for the state of California.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And so that we can ensure that we have a thorough and accurate answer to your question, staff will get back to you. We have your number. Any others?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Just a question for council. Because it's unusual that we get a presentation by staff on a receive and file. At least in our jurisdiction, the county receive and file is completely perfunctory. It's at the end. We make a comment, we make a acknowledgement about it, but that's about it. Is there anything in statute that requires that this be received and filed by resolution?
Yes. Yes, the board is. Yes, the board is obliged to do so, and I'll look up the exact statute, but it's part of the duties of the board, of our board in our enabling act.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions? We have no more public comment at this time? Well, it's a receiving file.
Yeah.
But do we just have to agendize it then? Or do we have to actually take a vote on it? Because I don't think I've ever voted on a receiving file before. Okay.
Yeah, it has to be by resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion in several seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Thank you very much.
Resolution.
That takes us to 8.1, General Manager's Report. Mr. Lee?
Good evening, Chair, directors, and members of the public. Thank you for joining us this evening in this new location. However, in several months, we will have a new boardroom in our new headquarters building at 1102 Kill Street. First, I want to introduce two wonderful industry experts who just joined Sacramento family. The first one, Sacramento is proud to welcome Henry Acquire. Henry, you can stand up for a second. Okay. Our new VP of Capital Projects. You can stand down here. As we move forward with nearly $2 billion in programmed capital projects for FY24 and $6 billion in planned projects, Henry will be vital in ensuring project delivery, and he comes to us from Valley Metro in Phoenix, which is very comparable to our agency. And he has a PhD. He's a doctor. The second individual has a PhD as well, something very unusual and rare for the transit industry. Wandimir Mengistu, Wandimir, please. Also has a PhD, and he joined us from Santa Cruz Transit Authority and is Sacarte's new director of grants and capital programs. He helped Santa Cruz Authority win over $100 million in grant awards this year alone, and comes highly recommended from the state and federal funding agencies. And we're glad to have both wonderful PhDs join our team. Then quickly, let me speak about our groundbreaking ceremony we held last month. We start construction on an additional track on the Gold Line near Glen Station, and will allow for 15-minute service frequency to Folsom area stations, the last 7 miles of Gold Line. We have multiple elected officials attending the ceremony. And we have one of our new low-floor light rail vehicles on display during the press conference and received positive feedback. Starting in January, during the construction, there will be low light rail service between Iron Point Station and historical Folsom Station. Instead, Sacramento will provide supplemental shuttle bus services for the impacted Folsom Station. Then next slide. Earlier this year, we welcomed aboard a talent rookie police dog called Blue. Sacramento recently posted a blog story about Blue and his background, and SAC-B and other broadcast media included this story in a social media called "The Happiest Dog in the World." Blue's job is to help Sacramento make its facilities safer as part of the agency's partnership effort with the Federal Department of Homeland Security and Transportation Security Administration. And speaking of dogs, Sacramento was proud to partner with the Middletown Business Association to repaint the mural on the side of our facilities at the Trudy Dog Park. And the new mural turned out fantastic, and I hope you will all check it out. Then next slide, I'm going to skip that. It's about warming centers, and we put lots of bus services to help the homeless and other unfortunate people to the warming centers. The next slide. Today, our board approved a new, administrative code, which will allow us to have board meetings at 4 p.m. Instead of 5 p.m. I just want to make sure our public know about this, and this will actually attract more public participations in our board meeting. And the last one is is about our holiday bus and events, which is our tradition. Look at how beautiful this is. So that ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you bringing Blue to meet us?
Sure, we can do that. Yeah. Right, we can do that next time. Yes, January 8th.
I assume Blue is touchable.
Yes.
It's not like a regular police dog.
No.
You know, hands off. Great.
Well, I want to comment on the mural because it was very noticed, and when it got tagged as badly as it did, I thought it was a
Ouch.
travesty. And so I really appreciate the fact that we stepped up to work with the
Yeah.
business owners. It's fantastic.
That is always such an insult.
Yeah, it drives you nuts. And I want to point out that actually Fergus the Chihuahua is the happiest dog in the city. Okay.
Oh, we can all compete for that one.
Are there any, yes, I know. Are there any questions from the public on Mr. Lee's presentation? Yes.
Yeah, Coco Cocozella, District 4 resident. Mr. Lee, I apologize, I didn't read that report prior, so I was a little bit blindsided about the 4 p.m. start time. And how did we vet that more people would come at 4 p.m. than after work?
We did some research, and we present that to the board actually a couple months ago. So we can share more details with you in the future. But after this, because I'm now really supposed to. Chair?
Briefly, you can answer. I think you did answer the question. We'll get back to you, and we have your contact information and get into more detail as far as how that decision was reached. So.
Yeah, I'm not so much interested as did we poll? I guess my question is, did we poll the public for that information? And again, you can get, that's fine if you want to defer the answer. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any others? All right, thank you very much.
Howard Jones online has his hand up.
Mr. Jones.
Is this 4 p.m. meeting for the light rail?
The 4 p.m. meeting is for the board meetings like we are experiencing right now. We're just moving it an hour and a half earlier.
What, is that the one going to be discussing the light rail?
Yes.
Why is it going to be at a time when most people are working and we're subject not to get the votes in? Who is getting the information that you need to continue on with the vote?
Not sure I completely understand the question, but instead of doing a back and forth here, if you could make your statement and your questions, our staff is very good at getting back with members of the public who call in.
At 4 p.m., I'm not.
Why is the clock not working?
Is it? Oh.
I'm sorry, what was that, sir? Are you there?
Yeah, that's the time I'm unavailable.
Okay, and we try to accommodate as best we can.
Yeah, for you guys, nobody does their homework or nobody accommodates people that's really considering the things that need to be done in our communities. All you guys, it's been 60 days since the last meeting. Nobody's got out the information that you need to get an answer.
Okay, sir, we're not going to do a back and forth here. You have approximately 2 more minutes to make your statement, and we will get back to you with whatever answers there are.
Who is seeking the information you need to make a vote? That was my only question.
Who is seeking the information to make a vote?
Yeah, for the light rail station.
It's a board decision, and with public participation, obviously.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Yeah. Okay, with that, we have reports, ideas, questions from directors and communication. Well, Director Daniel still here? Yes. No, no report, thank you. And Director Hugh?
Yeah, regarding 9.2, I just wanted to say, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times.
Okay, next item.
Okay.
Jeffrey Tartagia has his hand up.
On what item, Jeffrey?
This is my standard comment about dealing with the reports, because when you don't say what they're about, when you don't have somebody there, or when you do have somebody there, what took place. And, I believe that the people that go to these meetings should have something to say that did actually happen, whether it's dealing with, should we say, further on the 19th Street location, or whether there is something on dealing with rail.
I'm sorry, Jeffrey, are you specifically addressing item 9.1 because that would be the appropriate thing to address at this time?
Correct. That's what I'm talking about, is both 9.1 and 9.2. When you don't have somebody there, there needs to be something added to the line report stating what happened with it. Not just, oh, we're filing this report again, and nothing happened. I'm just offering that as a public comment, that complaining that you need to state something has happened when you put these reports out like this, especially if the individual that went to the meeting is not going to be at the meeting.
Mr.
The
Chair,
board meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
the meeting that I attend, I turn in a
Right.
report
Right.
to the secretary, and those reports are all attached to the agenda. So I'm sorry I'm not following Jeffrey's comment.
So yes, I'll reiterate that for Jeffrey and anybody else. These are written reports that board members take time to put together, give to staff, and it's part of the official record. And we're also given an opportunity, if they want to add anything to that was not in the report, then they're given the opportunity to address it at this time. We do have both 9.1 and 9.2 have representatives here, and they've indicated that their comments have been captured in the report. Okay. Thank you very much, Jeffrey. Appreciate it.
We have James Mills with his hand up as well.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mills.
I heard a reference to Fergus earlier, and I apologize for being late to the meeting, but did we get a report from Fergus's experience at the tiny house?
Thank you, Mr. Mills. We appreciate your time. Thanks for calling in. Anyone else? Okay. With that,
hello. I just want to.
are you here to address?
Yes, addressing.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. 9.1 and 9.1 and 9.2.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to keep it now.
I didn't want him to leave. First and foremost, I wanted to apologize to the board about earlier. That's the first thing.
No apology necessary.
I didn't understand that you guys didn't have enough time. Number two, 4 p.m. This is all I want to know. 4 p.m. Is that for?
That's not 9.1 or 9.2, ma'am. I'm sorry. No.
Excuse me. Okay.
No.
I just need to know that 4 p.m. in January for the Dos Rios, right? Okay, 4 p.m.
Yes.
Meet here,
Yes.
right?
Correct. No. Not here. It will be at the regional transit facility on 29th Street.
1400 29th Street.
Okay. All right. With that, I believe we have no closed session.
Sheriff Kennedy, I just wanted to clarify something that Director Stern, I know he left, but the question on receive and file. So it's in section 102.121 sub article F, which says that the board has to make it public. And how we have always interpreted it is that the board adopts it by resolution to memorialize that they did do their duty.
Okay, and that's just fine. I would in the future. My suggestion would be don't categorize it as a receive and file, but as an action item.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Director Lilloye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just want to take this time to thank our general manager, Henry Lee, and the wonderful staff, wishing you a great holiday and a phenomenal New Year's. Again, thank you very much for your commitment to the region and the hard work that you all do to make transportation easy for the residents of our wonderful county. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
well
you very
said, and thank you, staff.
Same to the board directors.
I think that is
Happy
a
holidays.
great way to end the
That's a
meeting.
great way to end.
Yes, and happy holidays, everybody. We're adjourned.